Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're looking at an absolute masterclass in psychological resilience and inner peace. We're going to break down a classic Zen koan that masterfully illustrates the immense, literally unbelievable power of radical acceptance. If you've ever struggled with what other people think of you, well, you're definitely going to want to pay close attention to this. Seriously, just take a second and think about it. How would you react if your reputation was unfairly destroyed overnight? Right? Most of us would completely panic, get intensely defensive, or just lash out in anger. Okay, let's dive into this, because the story we're unpacking today centers on a man who faced exactly this nightmare scenario, and he reacted in a way that just defies all normal human instinct. Part 1. The Master's Quiet Life and a Sudden Shock. So, our story revolves around Zen master Hakuin. In the past, he was a total pillar of morality, highly praised by his neighbors for living a really pure life. But suddenly, everything changes without warning. A beautiful young Japanese girl, whose parents owned a local food store right near Hakuin, is discovered to be with child. Her parents are absolutely shocked and demand answers, but she won't confess who the father is. Shortly after, following intense harassment and pressure from her own parents, she finally breaks. She names Hakuin as the father. In great anger, the parents went to the master. Now, what's really interesting here is the sheer intensity of their rage compared to the target of their anger. They're storming up to a revered spiritual leader, fully believing he has hypocritically betrayed their trust and ruined their daughter's life. The tension here is absolute. They are totally ready for a confrontation. And how does Hakuin respond to this massive, life-ruining accusation? 3 words. Is that so? That is the entire quote. It's an incredibly brief, entirely unbothered, and radically accepting response. He doesn't argue, he doesn't demand proof, he doesn't scream back or try to defend his pure reputation. To a literal tidal wave of anger, he simply offers a calm, "Is that so?" Part 2. A Year of Care. When the child was eventually born, it was brought directly to Hakuin. Handed the physical proof of the scandal that has now completely disgraced his name in the village, look at the deliberate steps he takes next. First, he simply accepted the child. Second, he went and obtained milk from his neighbors. And third, he gathered everything else the baby needed. And this brilliantly illustrates a vital concept. Radical acceptance does not mean passive surrender. Hakuin's equanimity was highly active and nurturing. He took very good care of this child. He literally went out into the very community that now despised him to get milk and gather supplies, fully embracing his new reality. Let's look at this comparison to really grasp the dynamic here. On one hand, we have the townspeople's volatile emotions. The great anger of the parents, the intense harassment of the young girl. But on the other hand, we have Hakuin's unwavering constance. By this time, he had completely lost his pristine reputation, but it simply did not trouble him. He remained an active, caring force. Let's see how this builds into the final twist of the story. Part 3. The Truth Revealed. Think about it. A full year of Hakuin quietly raising a child that isn't his, bearing the heavy weight of a ruined reputation. Finally, the burden of the lie breaks the young mother, and she confesses the stark truth. The real father was a young man who worked in the fish market. Instantly, the entire narrative collapses. The blame shifts entirely, 100% away from Hakuin. He was completely innocent the entire time. Imagine the shock and horror of the parents upon hearing this. They immediately rush back to Hakuin. They ask for forgiveness. They apologize at length, desperately trying to undo a year of unwarranted hatred. And, most importantly, they ask to get the child back. They totally transition from their previous self-righteous rage to tearful, frantic desperation. Part 4. The Final Resolution. Hakuin is completely vindicated. His pristine reputation can be restored. The parents are begging at his feet, wanting to take away the child he spent a year painstakingly caring for and providing milk for. So how does he react to this sudden vindication? Well, he was completely willing to yield the child. And in doing so, all he said was the exact same phrase, "Is that so?" So the crucial point here is his absolute unwavering consistency. He doesn't gloat. He doesn't shout, "I told you so." He doesn't demand apologies. Whether he's being handed a ruined reputation and a newborn, or being handed vindication and losing the child he raised, his internal peace remains entirely untouched. I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. Could you maintain your peace if you lost your reputation? Hakun's story forces us to look in the mirror. It challenges our deep, often kind of toxic attachment to public opinion, and it shows us the incredible strength that comes from radical acceptance. Because if you can detach your inner peace from what others think of you, you become untouchable. Think about that the next time you feel misunderstood or unfairly judged. Thank you for joining me for this explainer. Keep focusing on what matters, and I'll see you next time.